Hello, everyone. Welcome to a new edition of All Aboard Stock Charts, the show for new StockCharts members. It gives you the key things that new StockCharts members need to know. I'm Chip Anderson, the president of StockCharts.com, and I want to welcome you to the show and also welcome you to StockCharts.com. As new members, I'm super glad that you're here. The goal for today is to help you become instantly productive with your new StockCharts.com account. It is a show focused on all the questions that we think new people will have as they begin their journey of learning stock charts. There are a couple of frequently asked questions that we have that I wanted to cover to make sure that everyone is clear on what we need to be doing here. It is, first off, we are recording this show. And so if there's something that's said that you say, I want to go back, I want to see it later, so on and so forth, it will be up on our YouTube channel soon. Next, this is a live show. You can ask us questions at any time. And in fact, I encourage you to do that. I've got my friend Rachel here working with us. She's monitoring the Slido chat box that you'll see that's next to the video player you're watching the show on. In fact, please say hi to Rachel right now. If you can give her a little message, say hi, that'd be great. But if you have questions, things that you want me to cover that I'm not talking about or that you need me to talk about, then absolutely type it into that Slido chat box and we'll get to it. But unfortunately, in this show, I can't answer detailed technical questions. This is a show for the people that are new to stock charts, the people that need to get the basics down. That's what we're going to be focused on in the short amount of time that we have here. This show always goes too quick. If you have detailed questions, please tune into the show coming up next, which is Deep Dive with StockCharts.com. That's my show where I go over all the information on stock charts in a much more detailed way. And so if you got questions, deep technical questions, that's the show for you. So keep that in mind. And then finally, we have all the slides that you're seeing here on your screen. We've got a PDF with all of those that you can download at d.stockcharts.com/tv/allaboard.pdf. So if you need any of these slides, you want to print this stuff out and follow along later, you can do that. Just follow the show there. So anyway, hopefully that answers some of the immediate questions that everybody has. Now, let me tell you a little about StockCharts. It's the company I founded, over 20 years ago now. Our goal is to help online investors make better investing decisions through the visualization of financial data. Financial data visualization is what we're all about. That usually implies technical analysis, and so stock charting and the technical analysis of stock charts is our main focus. We combine three things: great tools, great commentary, and great education. We think that it's the combination of all three of those things that makes for a very, very valuable experience. And so we work really hard in all three of those areas. We'll show you a lot of the tools today. There's some that we won't get a chance to cover, but you'll see in other shows. Education, StockCharts TV, and our Chart School area are part of the educational effort here at StockCharts. And then commentary. Hopefully you've seen some articles from John Murphy. You've seen articles from our other commentators, and maybe you've caught some of the commentary here on StockCharts TV as well. So all three of those things coming together is really what makes a great website in our view. So if you're new to StockCharts, you're probably on our free trial. And again, thank you so much for trying us out. Just to be clear, so that everyone knows, our free trial is 1 month long. You've got a month to check us out, test everything, kick the tires, slam the doors, whatever. Keep in mind that we will charge your card automatically on the 1 month anniversary. So you want to try and make your decision about whether you're going to use stock charts or not within the first month. In addition, you have some decisions to make about what service level and what data plan you want. I'm going to talk about those in just a minute too. But you got to get all that straightened out before your 1 month anniversary. You can cancel your account at any time. This is true during your free trial. It's also true after your free trial. To cancel, and I'll show you this in a minute, you go to the Your Account page and you press the Cancel Your Account button. It's right there in the middle of the screen. Pretty easy to do. Hopefully you won't feel the need to do that, but if you do, it's easy. So a StockCharts account consists really of two things in terms of what do you sign up for and what do you subscribe to. The first is a service level and a service plan, and the second is a data plan. So let's talk first about service levels. We've got three of them for you. We have our basic service plan. It's $14.95 a month. For that, you'll get a single chart list in which you can store up to 500 charts. You won't get any of the custom scanning tools, and I think that's an important feature. But you will get John Murphy's commentary. You'll get access to larger charts. You'll get access to chart styles. Most of the features that I'll talk about in the rest of this show, you will have access to as a basic member if you choose to go that route. Extra is our middle-of-the-road service level, and it's our most popular. It's the service level that you will by default be put into when you join our free trial. You can move up and down, no problems. You can upgrade or downgrade at any time. But if you don't do anything, you'll be in our extra service level. With the extra service level, you have 250 chart lists. And remember that each chart list can store 500 charts. So that's a lot of stored charts if you need to. You also have up to 200 saved technical scans, which are super important. That's the scanning is really what extra brings for its additional price. You'll also have technical alerts. So when a particular stock meets a particular criteria, then you can get an alert on your phone, you can get an alert in email or on your screen, all those kind of things. So alerting is also super valuable. Finally, if you need to do more than what Extra provides, then we have a service level called Pro. So our Pro service level gives you bigger charts, more chart lists, more saved scans. Maybe the most important thing is more technical alerts if you get into that. And in addition, you can have an auto refresh time that goes down from 15 seconds on the other two to 5 seconds. And we'll talk more about that in just a minute as well. Okay, but those are the three service levels. You start in the middle. You can upgrade or downgrade as necessary. And during your free trial, you can test out any of these. You can upgrade to them and downgrade to them for no cost during the free trial period, your 1 month free trial. But make sure that at the end of that free trial, you are on the plan that you want to keep, because that's the plan that we will renew for you and charge you for when you complete your free trial. Okay. Now these prices these are the monthly prices if you want to go month to month. We also have the ability though for you to subscribe for longer periods of time. You'll get a bit of a price discount as you do that. Okay, so the other thing is part of your StockCharts account is the data plan. Now there are two basic choices that you have to make here, and they all have to do with how important is it for you to have official real-time data on your charts. If official real-time data is super important to you, you can add it for a cost of $9.95 per month per country. So for instance, if you want official real-time data for the US stocks, it'd be an additional $9.95 above and beyond your service plan cost. If you want real-time for 4 different countries, we have US, Canada, UK, and India. If you wanted all 4 with official real-time, then it would be 4 times $9.95 per month. And the $9.95 cost is essentially the exchange fees. These are fees that we pass along to the exchanges on your behalf in order for you to get that official real-time data. Now, here's the deal though. By default, when you just sign up for your free trial, we're going to give you access to our free data plan. It doesn't cost any additional money at all. It has a couple of restrictions and a couple of differences between it and the official real-time plans I just mentioned. So I want to make sure everyone's clear on that. The key thing is that for most of the countries, the free data plan will give you a 15-minute delay on your data. And technically that's true in the US as well. However, what we will do instead of having a 15-minute gap on your intraday charts for the most recent 15 minutes, we will fill in that gap with free real-time data from the BATS exchange. BATS is an alternate exchange. It's not one of the official ones, but it has become more and more popular over the years. Its price data has become more and more useful. The volume data is still not up to snuff, and we'll talk about that in a second, but it is free, which is really nice. It's unfortunately only available for US stocks, but that's still a big deal. And remember, basically the BATS data, we will show it to you for the first 15 minutes of the chart, and then we will replace that BATS data with the official real-time data after that 15-minute time frame is up. So what does this mean? Well, let's look at 2 examples of a real-time chart with official data versus a real-time chart with BATS data. And so here's a chart. These are actually a little old, but you can still get a sense of it here. This is from this is Intel way back in March of 2012. On the right, you can see that we've got a official real-time chart. The final bar is highlighted in green, which means it's still changing, but the fact that it's green means it's an official real-time data. And so this is the kind of chart you get if you pay the extra $9.95 a month. Notice also that we have full volume bars all the way through to the end of the chart. And our volume-based indicator here, the Chaikin Money Flow, uses volume in its calculations. It is also available all the way through the end of the chart. Now, over here on the left, we have the BATS version, the equivalent, same exact chart during the same exact period, but using our free standard data plan. And so what you see is the last 15 bars are highlighted in yellow, meaning that they're going to change at some point. They're still in the process of changing. And specifically, they're going to change whenever they cross this dashed yellow line. The dashed yellow line represents the 15-minute period. Any bars to the left of that are going to be official real-time data, now that we've passed the 15-minute mark. Bars prior to that are highlighted in yellow are coming from the BATS exchange. Now notice, the price bars from the BATS exchange are pretty similar to the price bars, not perfect, but they're pretty close to the BATS, to the official real-time bars over here on the right. That's great. But notice that the volume is not to be seen. We've actually suppressed the volume. We don't show it to you because it is on the BATS exchange much, much, much lower than the volume that you'll see on the official NYSE and NASDAQ exchanges. Because it's so low, that would really be comparing apples to oranges in that case. And so we don't even show volume from the BATS exchange, and we don't show any volume-based indicators for the first 15 minutes on a BATS chart. So if that's important to you, if you're worried about these kind of things, then you're going to want to pay the additional fee, the $9.95, to get official real-time data added to your plan. If on the other hand, you're a longer-term subscriber, maybe you're only working or you're only looking at daily charts, you're not too interested in one-minute charts, that kind of thing, then BATS data should do fine for you, and there's no reason for you to pay that additional cost. Now, one other thing, again, this is a fairly liquid stock. Intel has a lot of trading going on in it, and so the price bars do match up fairly well. On the other hand, if we have an illiquid stock, here's an example. This is a stock EW that back in 2012 was not quite as liquid as Intel. You can see there's some gaps in the price data. The price data is not as good as the price data over here in the official chart. If that's something else that's bugging you, if you think that's going to be a problem for your trading, then the additional $9.95 a month is probably the approach you want to go with. Okay, so that's the key things. Those are the two things you absolutely have to decide upon as part of your free trial process. Which service level do I want, and which data plans do I want? Now, let me show you how you actually use the site, get into the actual demonstrations and so on and so forth. First thing you need to know, of course, is how to log in. And there's a button in the upper right corner of the screen called the login button. It will appear if you're not logged in. If you are logged in already, your name will appear there. Okay, so if you see your name in the upper right corner, then you're logged in, life is great. If you see a button that says login, you're going to need to click it. Something else, you have to make sure that your browser does take our cookies. Browser cookies are important for StockCharts. And finally, if you see advertising next to our charts, it means you're not logged in. It means you need to log in. So once you're logged in, you should not see advertising next to our charts. That's how you can be 100% sure. Okay? Now, the first time you log in, there's some legal documents that go up. You have to answer some questions there. And then you will get into what we call the setup wizard. This is a new feature. It didn't used to exist. We put it in last month, and I'm going to show it to you in just a second. And it will basically help you get your account configured, doing the initial configuration of your account. It's very, very useful. It sets up these things, which we'll go over: the default chart style, the chart lists, scans, and style buttons. If you have already gone through setting up your account and you want to rerun the setup wizard, or for some reason you didn't run it already, you can always start over again at stockcharts.com/setup. Okay, and that's actually what I'm going to do here in just a second. So when you have finished that process, then you'll be taken to what we call the members dashboard. The members dashboard is essentially the home page for your StockCharts account. It's where everything kind of is centered, and it gives you a lot of information up front, as I'll show you, and then it also gives you access to all of our tools. It's customizable, lots and lots of possibilities there. There's lots of gear buttons around, and just click on the gear buttons to start charting or customizing the dashboard. The final thing before my demo is I want to make sure everyone's aware there's this bar at the top of all of our pages. It's called the chart bar. I'll show it to you during the demo. It's the box at the top of every page. If you don't know the ticker symbol of the thing you're interested in charting, just start typing its name. We will do autocomplete stuff. You're probably used to this. You've seen it at other sites. It'll make it very easy for you to find whichever ticker symbol you're looking for. It will take you to a SharpChart by default. In other words, our main normal charting tool. There's a drop down which you can choose, and then you can have it take you to other tools as well. So the chart bar is a very, very valuable way to help get around the site and get to all the different tools. So now let's go to the logging in setup wizard dashboard demo of doom here, the big demo that I want to start with. So I'm going to go over here to my demo machine, and this is what our site looks like if you come to StockCharts and you haven't logged in, and maybe you don't even have an account yet. This is kind of our normal home page, but this is not the home page that members should see. Members instead should log in so that they get to their particular or their member dashboard. So I'm going to log in to my little test account here and make sure that I can type correctly. Remember Me allows you to not have to do this all the time. You only want to check that box if it's on your own personal computer that you control. If you're logging in on somebody else's computer or public computer, do not use Remember Me. That's just a standard thing. Here we go. Here is the members dashboard. You can see it here. It gives you information about what happened recently in the markets, and we can look at other markets very quickly here by just clicking. We get to see major market movers over here, and we can change that to the NYSE. We can change it to the S&P 500. We can look at most actives, up and down, all this kind of standard stuff. Here's their little gear icons I was mentioning up here and down here, various different ways of configuring these things. At this point, the only thing I want to mention to you for the members dashboard, we'll come back to it later, is that all of the tools on our website are available over here on the left. And this area on the left is scrollable. So I'm just hovering over this area and using my mouse wheel to go up and down. And that gives me access to all the different tools here on StockCharts. Okay? So that's the first thing to know. Now, I have not configured this site, or my account, I should say. And so if I just pull up a SharpChart, I'm going to see a fairly boring chart. I don't see any ads, but the chart itself is fairly boring. Also, I don't have any buttons over here to help me get my styles going. I don't have any saved chart lists. I've got basically nothing. My account is blank and empty. And that used to be how everybody's account started. But like I said, we now have a new capability, a new feature called the Setup Wizard. And we automatically will take new users to that wizard. And again, if I had set this account up, or this account was completely brand new, we would go to the Setup Wizard automatically. But if I didn't go for some reason, or I want to go back, I can always type /setup, stockcharts.com/setup, and start the process again. So let's do this now. Let's go through the Setup Wizard and see how it works. This is what it looks like when you start out. It's important to understand that nothing will change until the very final end of the Setup Wizard. We're going to make up a couple of choices. It's going to ask us some information, but it won't make any changes to our account until the very end of the process, so we get a chance to review all of it. So we're going to get started. First thing it wants to set up is called our default chart style. In other words, what do we want our charts to look like every time we create a new chart? As I showed you a second ago, currently our default style is kind of boring. I mean, it's fine. There's nothing wrong with it per se, but we can have much more customization in terms of our default style. And so the Setup Wizard is offering to do that for us automatically and giving us a couple of different choices. We got some that are focused on trend and volume, some that are focused on relative strength, so on and so forth. So I encourage you to look at those and think about which one you really like. I'm going to go with the John Murphy one. In fact, here's what that looks like in kind of a bigger, more advanced screen. I like that a lot. So I'm going to hit selected, make sure that that is the one that is selected for me. Next, I'm going to go to the next step down here at the bottom, step number 2. Let's create a chart list. So it's asking us for our portfolio here. Almost everybody should have a portfolio in one way or another. And so we're going to create a chart list. In other words, a chart list is like a folder on your hard drive. It's a collection of charts that you've saved into your account. And what we're going to do right now is create our very first one based on stocks that we own. So I'm just going to, it can actually be any kind of stocks, any kind of collection of stocks that you want to enter. I'm just going to enter 3 or 4 symbols here. I'm going to enter a couple of tech stocks. And I don't know, I might add one more. See, as I'm entering them, it's giving me the different choices that match what I'm typing. And then it's putting them down here into the chart list. So here are the 4 stocks I've added so far. Let me add one more. Okay, and let's say that's good. So those are the stocks, let's say, that make up my portfolio. You would enter stocks and symbols that you're interested in instead, and you would get it all ready to go, and then you would hit continue to step number 3. And so it will automatically, once this is done, create a chart list with those stocks in it. The final thing we need to do for this wizard is select some of the scans that are available to us. So technical scanning is something I talk about in a different show. You can find it up on StockCharts TV. Also, we have lots of information on our site about scanning. But what it's asking us here is, are there any scans that we want to automatically add to our account and always have available? And so my advice here is just to click them all. Why not? Let's just click them all. They're all good. They're all worth studying. They're all worth kind of understanding. So I don't see any reason not to get them all. And I'm going to continue now to the next stage, which is a summary. This is the final piece. It's going to so basically here the wizard's saying, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to set the default style to John Murphy. I'm going to put all these stocks in your first chart list, and I'm going to add all these scans to your account. If that looks good to me, which it does, I'm going to click finalize. It's going to go and do its thing. And now we're done. And so we want to go back to the dashboard at this point. There's some other things we could do, but now we have things we didn't have before. Down here at the bottom of my dashboard in the chart list area, I've got my portfolio with 5 charts in it. I've got some other sample chart lists that the wizard created for me, which I can look at if I want to. But for instance, my portfolio, let's look at this in 10 per page mode, and we can see the different stocks that I selected are now available for me down here in my portfolio. Anyway, so that's how that works. I'm going to come back to exactly how you create charts here in just a second, but I wanted to give you this overview. Once you sign in for the first time, you'll go through that wizard and you will basically answer all those questions, and then your account will be set up pretty well for you. Not totally, there's still some things you might want to customize, but in general, it's going to be set up pretty well. And you can always rerun it by going to stockcharts.com/setup. Okay, so with that, I'm now going to take some time and go into the SharpCharts tool. We need to get down and dirty with our main charting tool, make sure we fully understand how we can set all the different settings on it. So just to quickly demo how do you get there, and then I'll go back to my slides. You can get to our SharpCharts workbench, which is where you create SharpCharts, simply by typing a ticker symbol in the upper right, in the chart bar at the top of the screen, like I was mentioning to you before. You type any ticker symbol you want, it'll autocomplete and put the chart in there. Okay? So once we do that, now we can, we're on the charting workbench. And now what I want to do is talk about all these different controls. We've got controls above, we've got controls below, so on and so forth. I'm going to talk about each of these in my slides, then I'll come back and give you a demo. So in terms of SharpCharts, the first thing we need to understand is it is one of several tools that we have for charting, but it is our premier tool. It's the tool that you really want to become familiar with. The charts themselves are sent out as what are called PNG images. They're just regular pictures that you find out on the internet. They're easy to cut and paste and copy into other documents. There's nothing to install in order to use our SharpCharts tool. Very quick and easy. The charts can be up to 2,500 pixels wide if you're a pro subscriber, and they can be as tall as necessary to show everything that they need to show. So you can get some quite large charts created in your account. Now I'll mention as a side note, quick side note, unfortunately I can't give any more details on this. We're still working on it, but we have another tool that we're in the process of putting together called StockCharts ACP. It's an interactive charting environment that allows you to use full chart interactivity. It's really cool. I encourage you to check it out. There are other shows here on StockCharts TV that talk about ACP. I can't cover it anymore in this show, but make sure you do take some time to check it out. For the rest of the show, I'm going to be talking exclusively, though, about SharpCharts. All right, step one is, what are the parts of a Sharp chart? When you actually get a chart up on your screen, what are the different pieces that you're looking at? What is it telling you? So let's go over that for just a minute. The key part here, going back, is that there are areas, different areas of the chart that you want to make sure you're aware of. In the upper right corner is the main ticker symbol. The main ticker symbol, every chart has a main ticker symbol. It can have some secondary ticker symbols as well. But the main ticker symbol is the symbol that corresponds to the main data set that's plotted in the middle of the chart. All charts have one area that is called the price plot area, and I'm hovering over it here with my mouse right now. It is the area that contains that main ticker symbol's bars or candlesticks if you're doing a candlestick chart. And it contains the volume bars as well. It also contains what we call the price overlays. All of that is in the main price plot area, and there can only be one per chart. Above and below the main price plot area, there may be additional panels. In this particular case, I've got one panel located down below the main price plot area, and that panel contains an indicator. In this case, it's an indicator called the MACD or MACD indicator. We won't worry too much about what that means at this point, but the only thing I want to point out is the MACD indicator is on a different vertical scale. Its values are on a different scale than the price plot values. So the price plot is going from, I got to look at this, in this case from 25 2 up to 27.4, something like that, 1,000 or 100 in terms of the point value for the Dow. The MACD, on the other hand, is going from negative 300 to positive 400, completely different scale. And so it has to be plotted on a different scale, and therefore it's usually plotted in a separate indicator panel. That's the key thing. So indicators, in our way of speaking, indicators are things that are plotted in different panels because they have different scales. Overlays are things that are plotted on top of the price bars because they have the same scale as the price bars. And of course, then the price bars themselves. You'll see the latest quote for the stock at the time the chart was created here in the upper right corner of the chart. You'll also see some what we call y-axis labels here on the y-axis showing you the values of these different things at the rightmost edge of the chart. You'll also see those same values here in the legend. This is called the legend area of the chart. So anyway, that's just a quick overview of what is contained in a Sharp chart. Now let's talk about the workbench itself. As I mentioned, you've got a top part, then you've got the chart, then you have the chart attribute areas, then you have the chart overlay area, and you have the chart indicator areas. So we're going to talk about those four different things. At the top part, I saw you saw this earlier, and I'll give a demo in a minute. That's where you type in the main ticker symbol. There's a box for that. It's also where you select the period of the chart, daily, weekly, monthly, 1 minute, 2 minute, 4 minute, 10 minute, whatever. And there are a couple other controls up there as well. So I want to talk about two important controls in addition to the ticker symbol and the period. The first control I want to talk about is auto refresh. It is an optional setting. It's available to members only. It will automatically update your chart when the market is open. So you can set it to a time period, and then your chart will automatically be refreshed each time that time period is up. For basic and extra members, you can go as quickly as 15 seconds. You also have 30 seconds and 1 minute and stuff like that. For pro members, you can also have the option of updating every 5 seconds. What's important to understand, however, is that this update thing is optional. You can always click the update button. There's a little button beside each chart. It's actually in several places called update. Every time you click the update button, you'll get the most frequent, the most up-to-date version of the chart. You can click that button once every second if you want. You can click that button once every half second if your computer's fast enough. So you have the ability to update your chart at any time. In terms of what we do for you automatically, that's what auto refresh is about. So that's the thing. That's what's important to keep in mind there. Now, next to the auto refresh settings, as we'll see in just a second, there is something called the inspector. And the inspector gives us some interactivity with our chart. When the inspectors turn on, we can then move our mouse across the chart and see what the values are of each of the different candles or each of the different bars. So if you want the ability to click on something and then drag your mouse and see what those values are, that's what the inspector allows you to do. It can also be used to measure distances. If you click and drag horizontally, it'll count the number of bars between the 2 points. If you click and drag vertically, it'll show you the percent change between the 2 points. I'll give you a quick demo of that too. Let me give you a quick demo and then start thinking up some questions here. I'm going to go back over to my demo machine and just quickly show you again on the workbench. Here's the main ticker symbol, and we can simply type this or type in a different symbol here if we want and press return. And now we get Facebook. I can type a different symbol and press return. So just typing and pressing enter will change me from one chart to the next. Here's the period. As I mentioned, daily, weekly, monthly, all these different choices. Free people get daily and weekly, but members get all of the other choices that you see here on the screen. And we can go down to intraday things, so on and so forth. Here's the update button I was mentioning. Every time we click update, we're going to get the chart redrawn with the most up-to-date information. And then here's the auto refresh setting. As an extra member, I have choices of 60, 30, and 15. Again, pro members have 5. This won't work right now because the markets are closed. So it immediately goes right back to off. The auto refresh will only work when the markets are open. So if you see it, if you try and set it and it goes off, it's because the markets are closed. And then finally, we have the inspector. If I click this checkbox, I can now hover over my chart and see all the different values like I was mentioning to you. And I can also, if I want to know how many periods between these two tops, I can click and drag this way. And now I can see that it's 30, 33, I can't read that right from my microphone, but 30, something like that, periods, we're measuring with the inspector. Just click and drag, and I can also click and drag vertically to measure percentage.
Hey, Chip.
Yes, do we have any questions so far, Rachel?
We do have a question about the auto refresh.
Yes.
Why doesn't it always stay on?
Why doesn't it always stay on? It should stay on until you turn it off once it comes on. But auto refresh is something that you need to turn on in order to get it to actually work, because it won't be automatically on because it's going to take a lot of resources from your computer. Potentially, it could take a lot of bandwidth. If you had a lot of charts open, that would cause problems too. So the goal is you want to only turn auto refresh on when you are actively monitoring the chart. You don't want to have auto refresh on a whole bunch of charts that you're not actually looking at.
Right, and then if you change a chart, you'll have to re-enable it as well.
That's correct.
Right.
Yep.
And is there a timeout on that? I forget. Like if you're not actually actively using the chart, does it time out after
I don't think it does.
40 minutes or something?
I don't think it does.
Okay.
Now, we have recently completed, again, a move to a new technology platform, the cloud, which gives us more capability. And then we are also working on StockCharts ACP, which has auto refresh enabled all the time. It's a streaming platform as opposed to SharpCharts. Okay. So ACP is going to be the long-term solution for people that want to have streaming charts.
Thank you.
Great question. All right. Well, let's plug ahead. I've already used up half my time, a little over. The time flies so quickly with this show. Let's talk about the settings at the bottom of the chart, below the chart. We talked about above. There are 3 important areas below the charts. The first is what we call the chart attributes section. Chart attributes are settings that apply to the entire chart, not just a little piece of it, but everything in the chart. We've actually already seen one chart attribute, which is the period, daily, weekly, monthly, that kind of thing. That applies to the chart universally. But there's a more important thing that's down below the chart. I want to make sure everyone understands. It's called the range settings. And the range simply means where does the chart start and where does the chart end? How many bars are we showing on this chart? There are many different options underneath the range drop down, which I'll show you in a second. The first one I want to mention is what I think should be the most commonly used setting for range, and that's what we call fill the chart. In fill the chart mode, what happens is we draw the bars of the chart starting on the right edge and going back to the left edge. And we draw as many bars as we can fit into the size available to us. You get to tell us, in addition to saying fill the chart, you also get to tell us how wide you want each bar to be and whether or not you want any gaps between the bars, any little empty space between the bars. And we will take that information. Let's say that you want your chart to be 5 pixels wide with no gap. That's a pretty common setting. And we will draw as many bars as we can going backwards from the right edge backwards to the left edge, drawing every single bar or candle perfectly without any distortion. And then so the point is we don't exactly know when the chart is going to start. We don't know how many bars we're going to fit in until we actually do it. And then boom, that's where the chart starts. And so fill the chart mode is for people that don't necessarily care when the chart starts, but they want to make sure their chart looks perfect, and they want to make sure especially the bars on the right edge of the chart look really good. And remember, the right edge of the chart is where all the action happens when you're a trader and when you're looking for the latest updates. It's the right edge that's most important. So that's why fill the chart mode actually works pretty well in a lot of cases. Strongly recommended as a good place to start when you're trying to decide how to set the range. Now, in addition to fill the chart, though, we have other settings. We have a whole variety of what I call duration settings. So you can specify 1 day, 1 week, 1 month, 2 months, 4 months, 10 months, 12 months, 2 years, 3 years, 4 years. All those different settings are available to you. And that's for people who care about seeing a particular time frame, a range of dates on their chart. They don't necessarily care if all the bars are drawn 100% accurately. They don't care if some of the bars are huge. They don't care if some of the bars are scrunched. They just want to be able to see a particular, say, a 2-year period. And so we will do what it takes to fit, let's say, for instance, 2 years of data into the screen, into the chart that we have available to us. But it does mean that some of the bars might be scrunched. And then finally, we have what's called the start-end settings. And on the start-end settings, you get to pick the starting date and you get to pick the ending date. We'll give you some calendar controls to help you with that. And we'll also give you something called the Ranger slider, which is an interactive slider beside those controls that allows you just to drag back and forth to set the start and end date. Really, really cool. So you want to select start, end, and then you'll see that slider appear, and you can interact with that slider. Now, another thing in the chart attributes area is the chart type. Super important. That's how what the bars look like on the price plot. Are they candlesticks? Are they open, high, low, close bars? Are they lines? There's a whole bunch of different choices here. I can't cover them all today, but I will point you to our chart school area. Our chart school area has very detailed articles on all of the different chart types that we support and how you can use them to make decisions about buying and selling stocks. I'd point out two important ones to also think about using or checking out. One is the performance setting, and the other is what are called the Elder Impulse bars, which are red, green, and blue bars that can be really useful as well. I'll give you a demo of that in just a minute. Finally, and before that demo, just quickly to cover the other chart attribute settings, the things that apply to the chart as a whole. You've got size, you've got whether or not you want the full quote panel up at the top of the bar, up top of the chart. And the full quote panel contains additional information like fundamental data, so on and so forth. There's something called price labels, which can help you determine or will show you the price values at significant peaks and troughs on the chart. You can change from arithmetic scaling to log scaling. And we have a little feature called the zoom thumbnail, which allows you to always see a zoomed up version of the right edge of the chart, regardless of what the rest of the chart looks like. So I encourage you to experiment with all of those things. There's some more that I didn't mention, color scheme, so on and so forth. Lots and lots of chart attributes for you to play with. You can't hurt yourself. Definitely try them all out. Make sure you become comfortable with them, so on and so forth. Two other quick areas that I want to mention. I'll go back to a demo of this. Below the chart attributes area, there's an area for overlays. And below that, there's an area for indicators. These are the technical lines that appear on top of your chart or underneath your chart. As I mentioned a minute ago, overlays are plotted on the same scale as the price bars, and so they appear on top of the price bars, like moving average lines, Bollinger Bands, those kinds of things. Technical indicators are plotted on different scales, and therefore they appear in panels above and below the chart. And you can add more to them as you need to. In fact, you can add up to 25 overlays and 25 indicators to a chart. Now, initially, you'll only have slots. I'll show you this in a second. You only have slots for 3 overlays and 3 indicators. But if you fill those slots up, additional slots will appear. So you can have up to 25 in that way. There are some green triangles for advanced options that you're going to want to click on and open, would be my advice. I'll do that in the demo. And then finally, you can move your indicator panels above and below the price plot using these arrow keys. So let's go back to my demo machine. I want to demo some of this stuff instead of just talking about it. So here we are, back to my chart of, in this case, Intel. And we've already talked about the controls that are above the chart. Now, the controls that are below the chart are what I just spent some time talking about. We've got the chart attributes area, we have the overlays area, and we have the indicators area. Now, I mentioned the green triangle. So if you're brand new to StockCharts, you're probably seeing something that looks like this. You're going to want to click on these green triangles as advanced options, open those things up. They'll give you more choices. So that's important and nice. So here is, for instance, let me go down and just quickly show you the select start end option for ranging. And this is the ranger slider I was talking about. And I can take this slider and I can move it backwards and forwards. And then whenever I lift up, then the chart redraws and I get a chance to see stuff for that particular thing. I can also move the chart forward by 1 day at a time simply by clicking on this right arrow. So that's nice. These are all the different types. We've got lots and lots of types, and I'm going to check the Elder Impulse system because I just want to quickly show you that. But here's the Elder Impulse system with the red, the green, and the blue. Red is bad, green is good, blue is neutral, and you can read more about that in our chart school area as well. It's just something to check out. Overlays, in this case I've got 2 overlays, 2 simple moving averages that you see here, the red line and the blue line laying on top of my price bars because they are overlays. And then I have 2 indicators, the RSI and the MACD. The RSI is up above. It goes from 0 to 100, so it's on its own scale, and the MACD is down below. And as we saw, its scale, in this case, the scale is from negative 2.5 to 1.5. Again, those scales are very different from the price scales, and so they're in their own windows. And finally, I have the ability to reorder things. I can move the MACD up above by changing here and moving it above. I can move the RSI below by doing below. I hit update. And now those 2 indicators, as you can see here, have changed positions. Really quickly, one other thing I want to show you is color schemes. Lots and lots of different color schemes. I generally prefer, frankly, the Murphy color scheme is one of my favorites. And so there you go. There's the Murphy color scheme added to the chart that I already had. Really, really nice. Okay, so after we spend some time creating these charts, we need to save them away. So we don't have to create them every single time. And we can save them into our chart lists using the following steps over here. First, you want to create the chart just like we did. Then you want to click on the Save link. It's located right above the chart. And you want to select the chart list, in other words, the folder that you want to save your chart into. And then you want to give the chart a unique name. We're going to suggest a name by default, but you probably want to tweak it a little bit, change it a little bit. One thing you can do is, remembering that charts are displayed in alphabetic order, is you can put a number in front of each chart's name, and that numbering system will allow you to control the order. If you want the order to be something other than the alphabet, go ahead and use the number in front to control that. Now, after you've saved stuff, you can then pull it back later very, very easily using the controls above the chart. Another thing you can do is you can annotate our charts. So we have a tool called Chart Notes that ties in to our SharpCharts tool. It allows you to draw lines on your chart. So for instance, let me quickly, you click on Annotate to start it, and there are lots and lots of different tools. And some of the tools have more options that you get to by holding down Control. So now let me give you a quick demo of that. I'm going to take away my indicators. And then I'm going to, here's my chart. I'm going to click on Annotate. And now I have a whole collection of tools, including lines, line types, colors, arrows, so on and so forth. But I'm currently selecting my trend line tool, and I can now draw a trend line. I can go from here to here. There's my trend line. I can click and drag it, so on and so forth. I can type text in here. I can put shapes in here. I can put Fibonacci stuff, other kinds of things in here. And Fibonacci is a great example of where I can do it initially. Let's see. Whoops. All right, hang on. I can do it initially here. There we go. And that's going to give me the standard set of Fibonacci lines. However, if I hold down my control key and I do it again, then I'm going to get, actually, I think in the case of the computer I'm on, it's a command key. Yep, I'm going to get more lines that appear by holding down the command key. By the way, in order to delete a annotation that you've already created, you just select it, like I've done here, and then you press the delete key on your keyboard, like I'm doing there. Lots and lots and lots of capabilities here. The other thing to remember is when you save a chart, so I'm now going to get out of chart notes by clicking on the X, and I'm going to save my chart. And when I save the chart into my chart list, I now see that annotation here, and we will automatically maintain that annotation over time. So it'll stay with the chart as more data is added to the chart, so on and so forth. So keeping the charts automatically updated is one of the key things there. All right, so that's basically a quick intro, a lightning quick intro into all the capabilities of the SharpCharts workbench. But remember, I said that ultimately what you're doing here is you're saving charts into your account. So how do you review charts that you've saved? A couple of different ways. As I mentioned, there are drop downs above the chart on the workbench. But maybe more interestingly, back on your dashboard page, you have the ability to look at your chart lists, any of those 500 chart lists that you have. You have the ability to look at them in any of the different views that we have. We have a summary view, 10 per page view, chart book view, candle glance view, gallery view, and edit view. And each of those are used for different scenarios. The most common one, I would say, is the 10 per page view. That's going to allow you to see your fully saved and annotated charts 10 at a time, so you can review them really, really quickly. If you need to see them all in a table format, you can do that with summary view, but I prefer 10 per page view is kind of my favorite. Chart book is like 1 per page view, and then candle glance is like mini charts. So let me quickly show you some demos of that. I'm going to go back on my demo machine to my dashboard, and then I'm going to scroll down to the bottom of my dashboard, and here are my chart lists. I'm going to find that My Portfolio list, the one that the setup wizard created for me. And under View As, these are now all those different choices that I was mentioning, including there's a couple more that I didn't even bother mentioning. There are all these different views that are available. Summary view is the table view. And so here I'm seeing what sector each stock is in, what its current close is, its percent change for the past day. I could actually also make that percent change for the past week, the past month, so on and so forth. And other kinds of data associated with each symbol. But what's more important, I think, again, is to go to the 10 per page view. And now I get to see each of my charts as they were created for me, including down here somewhere would be there it is, my annotated Intel chart with its additional stuff. So as I add more charts to this list, they'll appear here in 10 per page. And I can get right back to any of these simply by clicking on the chart. Now I'm back in my workbench. I can make more changes to them, so on and so forth. So viewing a chart list in a variety of different ways is super important. It's useful to get familiar with all the different chart list views. Now, one last thing on SharpCharts. It's very common for you need to create several charts that look very similar. The difference is only the ticker symbol. When you want to do that, you want to use something called a chart style. A chart style is a template for a chart. It's all the information about the chart, all the different settings about a chart except the ticker symbol. So it allows you to associate settings with different ticker symbols quickly and easily. It's, again, everything except the ticker symbol can be applied to any chart using the chart style drop-down, which is located below the chart on the workbench, or using style buttons, which the setup wizard set up for us automatically on the left side of the chart. I'll show you that in a second. There is an important style that you need to be aware of called the default chart style. And the default chart style is the style that we use whenever you are creating a new chart. If you just give us a ticker symbol or you just click on a ticker symbol, we're going to use the default style. Whatever that style is for you, we're going to use that default style to create the chart for you. So it's important that you make your default style really close to the typical kind of chart that you want to work with. If you're a long-term investor, that might be a daily chart or even a weekly chart. But if you're a short-term trader, that might be a 1-minute chart. So having different indicators and so on and so forth, it all depends on the style of what you're doing. Here are my tips for creating this default chart style. It's something that the wizard has done for you, but I think you'll want to customize some, even if the wizard has done it for you a little bit for you. Again, it should be your most commonly used settings. I believe using fill the chart is important on the range setting for a default chart style for reasons that I talked about earlier. I think you want to pick the biggest size possible for your screen. And I think you also want to save it as its own style. But coming back here to my demo machine, let's say, for instance, I really like the Alexander Elder impulse bars with these two moving averages, and I want all of my charts, whenever I create new charts, to have this look and this feel. So what I can do, once everything's saved, now is the way I like it, I can click this link right here, Save as Default. It's below the chart, right there, Save as Default. When I do that, and I hit OK, now every chart that I create from scratch, including charts I create up here in my chart bar, will have those same settings. So there you go, IBM is that way. If I go back to the member dashboard, and I click on one of these charts that are here in the market movers for the S&P, I don't know, like a CNC, for instance, boom, it's going to come back in that with those default settings. So it's really important that you make those settings what you're most comfortable with.
And actually, when you change that, though, it's not going to change the settings for any charts you previously saved.
Correct. The styles, chart styles are just templates. And there's no link between a saved chart and the template that was created it. You can change the template later. It will have no effect on the saved chart. Or alternately, you can change the saved chart, have no effect on the template. They're independent. Okay, and that was a great question for my any more questions part, which I guess I'm now up to. Were there other questions that have come in, Rachel?
We're coming up on the end here, and
Yep.
One of the questions that actually did come in earlier was, when is the best time to renew?
So the best time to renew, there are a couple of times per year. If you're a long-term StockCharts member, you'll figure this out eventually. But I'll go ahead and spill the beans a little bit now. We always have a sale at the end of the year. We always have what we call a special at the end of the year. It usually starts on Cyber Monday because that's now a big deal in this world. And it usually extends all the way through December. We don't pre-announce any of our specials because there's a chance we may not do them, but we usually, as we've been in business 20 years now, and we've done it 20 times, we usually have a special during the month of December. And so that works out well for you guys. If you guys are on your free trial, keep an eye out, keep an ear open, watch your email and watch the announcements on the website. There will probably be some specials coming on real soon here.
Right. And if they're on automatic renewal, do they still need a place in order to take advantage of a special?
They do. Automatic renewal does not automatically get you the special. So you're going to want to look at that. Typically, our specials have a deal where if you renew for a long period of time, you'll get a much better rate. The month-to-month doesn't really count for the special. The month-to-month auto-renew stuff doesn't really count for the special. You'll need to choose to subscribe for a longer period of time, several months, so that we can give you the bigger discount. All right, just real quickly, as Rachel mentioned, we're out of time here. There's one other thing I want to show you, which is the Your Account page. This is the page that you go to in order to change things. It's also where you go to in order to renew your account, change your credit card number, change your email address, all that kind of stuff. To get there, you go on the Your Dashboard tab, and then you click on the Your Account link. It's going to be on the left side underneath your name. It's pretty obvious, but a lot of people kind of miss it. It's also available in a couple other places, but the easiest thing, again, is just click on your dashboard, look on the left side of the screen under your name, and you'll find a link to the Your Account page. Again, on that page, you can do all of these different things, including like adding those real-time data plans I talked about, upgrading or downgrading your service plan. If you don't like extra, you can change that on the Your Account page, so on and so forth. There's also on that page some settings that will allow you to remove or decrease the amount of email that we send you. So it's a very important page to be aware of and to go check out and make sure it's set up the way you like.
One of the features that I really like about this page is there's a view notification history. And if you click on that, you can see messages that you may have missed just being on our website about your account.
Yes.
Possibly something needs to be updated with your card so that your account is going to be renewed on time. Those types of notifications that, honestly, sometimes I don't see them on other websites either. Like, hey, Rachel, you need to do this. And I'm like, oh, I didn't
There's
see
also
that.
here the view transactions. So you can
Yes.
see if we've charged your credit
Yes.
card in the past, all that stuff.
Yeah,
will be
that's great for
available
end of
there.
year now when people are starting to get ready to do their taxes.
So we also have lots and lots of help on the site. We have this whole huge area called Chart School, which I consider to be like the Wikipedia of technical analysis. Absolutely find time to surf through Chart School. There's also a help link at the top of every single one of our pages. It's over on the right next to the magnifying glass. Clicking on that will get you a whole host of resources, including our technical documentation, as well as the ability to communicate with our customer support team. We have a wonderful customer support team that works really hard. And then, of course, you're familiar with StockCharts TV. You're watching this show on it. That is another great place to get lots of help on how to use our site. So here's the end of our show. And if you don't know, you've actually learned a whole bunch. Hopefully, if you've been paying attention, here are all the different kind of terms. I know we have a lot of them that I've been throwing around. Hopefully, at the very least, you become familiar with what these terms mean. And I think either by reviewing this show, maybe looking at the slide download I mentioned earlier, you can fill in any blanks. If there are any terms on this screen right now that you're unfamiliar with after this show, try and figure them out. Go back and look and see what I'm talking about, and then you can learn about it. It's really good to know these terms. It's going to make it really, really easy. So I've got one last call for questions. If we've got anything else going on.
Actually, I forgot. This goes way back to the beginning of your show. But did you explain the difference, the charges for real time, and how that's going to show up separately?
Yeah, so it is important to understand we have, again, your account consists of two pieces, the service level and the data plan. The data plan is independent of the service level. And again, that money goes straight to the exchanges. It's your exchange fees. And so it is charged separately. If you decide to choose one of our official real-time plans, it will be charged separately from your service level. The service level is the service we provide. And so that's the thing, for instance, that gets discounted during the specials and all this other stuff. But the data plan is out of our control, and that's going to be charged separately. So if you're using an official data plan, you will see two charges on your credit card statement each month.
Oh, and actually, Mark just wrote in, and he reminded me of something that we have had for a while, which is our scan.
The message board,
Yeah.
Right? Another source of help, especially for people trying to figure out how to write scans, is a very popular message board, and I hope it can get more popular. Continue. It's called scan.stockcharts.com. SCAN.stockcharts.com. And yes, it does have a lot of information about scanning in it, but you can actually ask any question you want to. And it's a user-to-user message board. So in other words, instead of getting the official customer support line from StockCharts, you're going to get help from other users just like yourself. That's especially important for scanning and alerting, but it can be important for any other kind of topic as well. So I encourage everyone to go check out http://scan.stockcharts.com.
And I put a link for that in the chat as well.
Oh, good. Thank you. Well, we are out of time again. It's amazing how quickly this show goes. In just a minute, coming up will be the Deep Dive Show. We do that every week as well. It's another live show. I encourage you to tune into that one, check it out, and have fun using your StockCharts account. I hope you get the most out of it. Take care, everybody. I'll see you next time.